Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to your Smackdown review. So, Raw had me worn out. It's Hell in the Cell. I'll watch it Sunday. I'll review it. Mick Foley's going to be in the Hell in the Cell with Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. And that match it'll be interesting. It'll probably be a good match. I wouldn't really look for anything monumental to happen at the pay-per-view, but we're probably guaranteed a few good matches. Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton will probably be a pretty decent match as well. Two veterans in there, even if their program is very uninteresting. So, without further ado, let's see how the last show before Hell in a Cell went. Was it good? Was it I ain't gonna even there's no point in even doing suspense here, people. We all know before the review even starts that I hated it. I mean, you could see it in my eyes, you could hear it in my voice. People have said they see the pain within me, they see the pain through my voice, when they watch these reviews, and they say, it's taken a toll on me and everything. And, it has. Watching the show isn't easy. And, I mean, the thing is, mostly, it's like, well, I do it. I have a choice, I could do something else besides, reviewing this show. But, this channel's important to me. My subs are important to me. I've got some great people supporting me on Patreon, which, just goes to show that people enjoy what they see. So that's why I persevere. I mean, there's people who come to this channel just to see me review these shows, and they don't even watch the shows, but they just want to hear what I have to say about it. I've said this now for years, I really appreciate that. Like, you're not even watching the fucking show, but you're actually going to take the time to go to my little channel just to see what I have to say about it. And I guess maybe I do a better job entertaining. A guy, doing a show in a little room here is more entertaining than the big, billion-dollar WWE with their billion-dollar Saudi Arabia, Australia, and Fox network deals. And I'm doing a better job entertaining than them. I mean, you really put that into perspective, and that really just speaks volumes about how fucking lazy and terrible and horrendous the show really is. So, I mean, here we go, guys. So we started off with, Jeff Hardy. I'm not sure, Jeff Hardy's good at firing up the crowd, but this welcome to the show thing, I mean, can you imagine The Rock or Stone? I say this all the time, or even Hulk Hogan, welcome to the show, greeting you to a show. I mean, it's one thing when Vince McMahon would say, welcome to Monday Night Raw. I get that, it's his company, but like a wrestler greeting you, like, what is this, Walmart? Is this a hotel? Is it, I'm walking in, I'm being greeted. I mean, it's I guess you could, see it from a different perspective. It's nice to be greeted, we're spending our time watching, never once did I watch a show. I mean, it's kind of like, the announcers will thank you for, watching the show, and I totally get that. And that goes back to the Attitude Era, that goes back to Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse Ventura, and Bobby the Brain Eaton. They'd always thank you for watching the show, but those are the announcers. The wrestlers welcoming you to the show, it just doesn't fit. It would be like if LeBron James or Michael Jordan grabbed the microphone and told random, thanks everybody for showing up to the game. I mean, does Conor McGregor does that? His wrestling style UFC promos. Did he ever grab a mic and say, hey guys, thanks for watching the fight? No. Did Mike Tyson ever do that? No, because it's not their job to do that. So why are the wrestlers welcoming us to the show? So he has a match with Nakamurphy. And since Nakamurphy has won this U.S. title, I don't know if this guy's like, got a lot of injuries or what it is, but like, it was very bizarre, this whole thing. It started off as a feud with Jeff Hardy and Nakamurphy, and suddenly Orton got involved, and it was sort of like Nakamurphy and Orton were teaming up against Jeff Hardy. Then they kind of shifted, him away from it and just made it more Orton and Jeff based, and so it's like, Shitcake Nakamurphy doesn't have his own feud going here. He's just basically there. And I think back, this is the guy who won the Royal Rumble. He went on to WrestleMania. Out of all the guys in the Royal Rumble, all the guys you had in there, Rey Mysterio, big legends, big names and all that, and you chose Nakamurphy. You put all the stock in Nakamurphy at the beginning of the year, and we fast forward just a few months, and where is the guy? Like, well, it's more than a few months, like 7 months later now. It's like 8 months later, really. That was in January. I mean, I guess, give or take a few months for WrestleMania, but man, I mean, this guy's stock has fallen. I mean, his heat has, completely cooled down. I mean, what happened? They wanted to listen to the marks, they wanted to listen to the smarks, they wanted to listen to the internet crowd, and, lo and behold, Nakamurphy is, just kind of a derelict on the roster. Just matches here. The doesn't know how to speak English gimmick, and we'll talk about that later. How it seems like someone else is getting that gimmick. I mean, I don't know. Orton comes in, pushes Jeff Hardy off, and I thought we're gonna get some retaliation. Finally from Orton for getting the Swanton. Like, I don't think he ever got the the retribution for that. He ever got the receipt. So I'm like, oh, here we go. This is gonna be the heat right before Hell in a Cell, and Jeff Hardy just lays the guy out with a Swanton, and like, that's it. Now, I know I talked about in the Raw review, before people say I'm contradicting myself, I said, why doesn't Ronda Rousey go outside the ring and kick Alexa Bliss's ass after she kicked her in the ribs? I'm saying, get in a few more shots and just have maybe Alexa Bliss, like, take off or something like that. Like, the point was, why didn't she, like, exit the ring? Now, the question here is when you have this storyline where, like, Orton wants to just, like destroy Jeff Hardy, like, kill the man, and you just basically took away all of Orton's heat right here. Going into Hell in a Cell, this big dangerous match, Orton's talking about how he's gonna, do things that are gonna make you squeamish, basically, in this Hell in a Cell. And, Orton looked very weak here. He gets the drop on Jeff from behind, and Jeff just counters that, and, Orton's just kind of left lying in the ring, and, and Jeff Hardy's, like, celebrating. I'm like, where's the heat here? It's like, shouldn't it be before a big Hell in the Cell match? Shouldn't you have, like, Orton have all the heat on Jeff Hardy going into it? I mean, it's the Hell in the Cell, supposed to be a brutal match and all that. And, what a better way than to have Orton standing tall. And Jeff Hardy, would have to be like, Jeff Hardy'd really have to focus. It's his first Hell in the Cell. But, they didn't take that route. And, of course, because they always take the wrong route. Never the right one. Never the way you think that it's going to go, the way that it should be, the way that, traditional booking, the way how it used to be done back in the day would, have you believe. But they fly in the face of that. I understand. Maybe you want to switch up every now and again, but when it doesn't even make fucking sense and you're just going into a match cold, like, there's no excitement here. Jeff Hardy got the drop. Instead of Orton doing something brutal, like leading up to it or whatever, You know, maybe they could, you know, what happened to what they used to do? Remember when they used to have, like, the Hell in a Cell already there to kind of promote it? You know, maybe they could have had a little something, a little teaser. No, nothing like that. It didn't feel like we were heading into a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. It didn't feel like there was even a pay-per-view at all. So AJ Styles cuts a promo in an empty arena. And, you know, I don't get, like, why they do this, and I think I've addressed it in the past, but you know, time to rant on this a little bit again. Not a huge massive rant, but just, you know, a little bit of a pet peeve. How come every time they show something happening on the Titantron, they like pan back to the audience, and the audience is always like cold, dead silent, like no one's even reacting. It's not even like they're going to the audience for the facials, you know, the surprised looks or anything like that. They just kind of pan back and you see the back of everybody's head, and, you know, most people are kind of just looking down at their cell phones or whatever. I mean, what is the point of doing that? And, like, AJ Styles is just kind of sitting on the ring steps, and it's kind of like, it's obviously a pre-tape because he's sitting in the arena already that's empty. I think that's the same arena, cutting this promo. So it's like, isn't the whole idea of a pre-tape to kind of make it seem like it's not a pre-tape? The reason why you do a pre-tape is so, you know, you could produce it better for people that require, you know, a bit more of producing, you know, people who are not good with, you know, doing things on the fly. So, you know, no, it's like they kind of just do this pre-tape, and AJ is just like, you know, all they do is the clever wordplay. You know, he says like, this house, you know, what is it with everybody? It's my yard, it's my house, this is the house I built, you know, Paige, this is my house, you know, this is, first it was the Undertaker. You know, when the Undertaker said it, this is my yard, it made sense because, you know, Taker is like, this guy's a legend. He's been there for so long, you know, and I totally get why they would have, you know, Roman Reigns like kind of take up the mantle and say that he beat Taker and all that. But then, you know, all these other people, Paige and, you know, AJ, all claiming that like the WWE is their house or something like that, and then AJ kind of does these lame-ass metaphors, like, oh, it's not for rent, and it damn sure ain't for sale. It's like, they think when they put pen to paper that actually sounds cool or catchy or something, but it's not cool or catchy. It just comes off sounding lame, like, you know, maybe a kid's gonna think that kind of sounds a bit cool, like, you know, and he might want to repeat that to his friends in school if he's like in 2nd or 3rd grade, and maybe that's who this is geared towards. But you know, most kids, like I've already explained in the past, the problems with WWE is out of touch about is most of this stuff is like kids are really advanced. You know, it's like the kids today are, you know, desensitized to violence and, you know, foul language. I mean, these kids like hear bad words from like 5 years old and on. And so like when you do promos like this with these lame catchphrases, this might have worked way back when, but, you know, no one's watching it anymore to, you know, what do they think? Like, they really think that kids are going to think this is cool? And they will find the kids that will think it's cool. But, yeah, I mean, say, like, for everybody else, and even, you know, like I said, the majority of the audience isn't kids. So it's like, why did they even bother doing stuff like this? You know, but these are things that, these topics they could be talked about for years and years already. It's almost a moot point because, like I said, they just don't give a shit, and they've been making these same mistakes. But you watch a promo like this, and you're just like, they put this whole thing together, and did they even it's pre-taped, so they've obviously watched it back, and they've seen it played and everything. It was probably edited as well to, you know, to get those good camera shots, probably multiple cameras. They had to choose the best ones. So they really play this back, fully grown men, and they think that this sounds acceptable. They think that this sounds good. They think this sounds enticing to the ear. They think that it sounds like AJ's coming off as like AJ Styles, man. Like, you guys know, I've said it time and time again. This is a talented guy, but the way they're producing him as a babyface sucks so bad. It's really bad. I've said it. They did a way better job producing him as a heel. He should either go back to that or they should stop, because he's kind of like, he's not as bad as Seth Rollins when it comes to just being a totally like out of touch, like cookie cutter baby face. Like, and I know, like, I'll read like Wade Keller and everybody, like, he thought this was a great promo. He thought this was an awesome promo. Of course he did. Of course he did. He thought this was a great promo because, you know, they're just such marks for these guys. And the thing is, it's like, yeah, okay, I'm a mark for AJ too. Love the guy. I've been a fan of this guy since TNA. I always said that he belonged in WWE in one way, shape, or form. But, you know, it's all about production and how you present him, and they're just doing a terrible job. But, like, this is so, because, you know, Wade Keller's a big fan of people saying their goals, like, I want to be champion, their purpose. Like, who gives a shit? First of all the wrestlers are there to, like, win belts and everything. That's the whole premise of being a wrestler, and why this whole WWE exists is because of that. That's the main storyline over everything else, is that the wrestlers want to be champion, they want to be at the top. And you know, so I guess to Wade Keller, this was a good promo, but for everybody else, they should be looking at this as like, this was a total bore. What did this do to advance anything? Was he interacting with Samoa Joe? Did the feud get any heat? No, it was just so far removed that AJ wasn't even there. He's sitting in an empty arena. How is this a good way of, like, you know, they could have done the empty arena thing, like maybe AJ was getting psychotic, you know, being driven to the edge because maybe Samoa just, maybe they could have showed him up in the stands, like, you know, really just getting stressed out. Maybe someone tries to interview him and, you know, he's just not having it. Like, there's just some ideas, like AJ could be getting into the zone. Instead, it's not AJ getting into the zone. It's just AJ cutting a bland, boring, babyface, cookie cutter promo. And then they do this lame thing that they've been doing lately. Like, he goes, Samoa Joe is a piece of and he stops himself and then says a piece of garbage. Like, can't forget to edit myself. Can't forget to censor myself. Like, good PG champion. Like, they need to stop doing that. It's the same thing like when they have Roman Reigns do it on Raw, and like then they'll say like he's about to curse, and then someone will like cut him off. Like, that's so clever. Like, that hasn't been done before. You know, not just in wrestling, but almost on every single TV show that they weren't allowed to curse on. I mean, you know, they're doing these new ideas, and it's funny. It's because then if you go online, you see people think that this stuff is just grand. Even the people that knock WWE and everything, you know, they think that this is just spectacular. Like, these are some great ideas and promos. Like, let's be fair. Like I said, like, I like AJ, but if the promo sucks, it sucks. It's bad, and they need to do better. It's not his fault. It's the way he's being produced. Charlotte defeated Sonya Deville. I mean, like, I don't get this. So Vince McMahon is a big fan of Mandy Rose, but he won't do anything with Mandy Rose. He just will keep her there at ringside. He'll have Corey Graves sing her praises, but, you know, when Vince McMahon like Trish Stratus, the next thing you know, she was the biggest women's superstar of all time. So it's like, either he just, you know, kind of likes her and doesn't feel like doing anything with her. The guy is, well, maybe it's this, has completely lost touch. Sonya Deville, I said it time and time again, this could have been their big ticket here with Ronda Rousey. This would have been a great feud. I don't know how good Sonya is with, like, programs, because they haven't ever given her one. But, you know, they could have at least, you know, done something to produce her. Like, you know, this is when you use pre-tapes. If she ain't good at cutting promos, because I never heard her cut one, I would assume that maybe she's not good. They just don't give her a chance. You know, they should have really built her up, really stressed that MMA background, which they don't even seem like they mention anymore, or they just mention it in passing. Like, hey, it's kind of like when they did the thing with Baron Corbin. He collects human skulls. Like, oh, here's a fun fact, but we ain't gonna build on that. Like, these wrestlers. I've said this is what I was saying in my Raw review. You don't need to change your roster. These people have interesting backgrounds. They have things going on in their lives. They post it on social media. Why not take some of that real world stuff and fuck this? You don't even use kayfabe anymore. So what is even the point of even attempting to use it at all? And you do all these lame wrestling cliches that should have, you know, gone out. They went out the window in the Attitude Era, and now they're back. And they were out the window in the Ruthless Aggression Era as well, and now they're back. All the lame ass stuff that we thought was gone out of WWE returned in the PG era, and still it's gotten worse to this day. Things have gone backwards. So you know, I don't know why we don't do something with someone like, you know, Sonya Deville, who's got all this, you know, these great credentials and background, but now they're on two separate brands, so you can't do anything with Ronda and Sonya. So okay, so now, of course, you know, we're not gonna do anything. Charlotte just straight out beats Sonya Deville, and you know, she takes a selfie with a fan, and Becky Lynch is dressed up as a fan as well, and she attacks her from behind. So, I mean, that wasn't bad. You know, that was okay and everything. I think that they could have done a bit more. You know, with this, like, is their match is not in Hell in a Cell, right? Are they doing any women's stuff that's in? Wait. Is it in the Hell in a Cell or is it not? Because I'm losing track, like, what is a Hell in a Cell? Because the AJ and Samoa Joe thing, even though it's a grudge match, it's not even in Hell in a Cell. But I think this one is. Whatever the case may be, if they are headed into the Hell in a Cell, it doesn't even look like they are headed into there. It just kind of, you know, this was a little bit of heat, but they could have gotten a little bit more. It looked a bit downplayed is all I'm saying. Like, this is something that should have happened earlier in the feud, not right now, where it should, like, be coming to a head right before the pay-per-view. Then we have, oh god, man, oh man. So, you know, I said that in my Raw review that I had a lot to say about SmackDown, and pretty much, like, I've already said a lot, like, you know, like the AJ promo, and I have a problem with him being produced, and, you know, just different little things here and there. But, like, my biggest problem here was this Samoa Joe promo, segment, vignette, whatever you want to call it. And people were thinking it's brilliant. Wade Keller loves it. I'm sure Meltzer Magoo is, you know, over the moon for it. You know. So, what happened here? What was this segment about? Okay, so let's rewind first. The year is the year 2000. It's after WrestleMania 2000. Shane McMahon, The Big Show are feuding. Shane McMahon does a very over segment that many people love and cheered, where he read from a book. It was Jack and the Beanstalk. Shane McMahon had a big oversized book on his lap, a big fairy tale book, like, you know, kind of like you would see in the Fractured Fairy Tales thing from, you know, Rocky and Bullwinkle, you know, the big ass fairy tale book. So, you know, Shane McMahon read from this book, and, you know, he did like a nursery rhyme thing, and like every other word he said rhymed, and it was funny, it was entertaining, because Shane was poking fun at Big Show, you know, calling him like the Giant, and he, you know, Shane was Jack, and so it was comical, it was meant to be laughed at, it was a parody, it was funny, it was a joke. Samoa Joe now, 18 years later, is doing the same thing that Shane is doing, but it's not meant to be a parody. It's not meant to be a joke. It's not supposed to be a little funny novelty segment like it was back in the day. This is supposed to be taken seriously. We're supposed to see Joe as a crazy, psychotic, mean heel. You know, he's reading a book called Night Night AJ, where he talks about, you know, hurting AJ and becoming like the new father of AJ's family. It's like they're trying to tell this story in a very PG way, but they don't want to commit to it. Like I talked about it. Like, Joe really needed to go full 2001 DDP. They should have did that storyline the right way. You know, see, that's what they could do. They could actually do a storyline better than they did back in the day. And I'm like going on YouTube and I'm reading all the comments about Samoa Joe's promo right here. And people love this. They were like, wow, that was great. That was intense. That was spectacular. Joe did a great job. And I'm just sitting there like, you know, or then we just watch the same thing. They're like, okay, this segment was very well produced. They did some nice graphics with AJ, making it look like it was animated and stuff, and that's the WWE for you. I won't knock that part. I've said Kevin Dunn does a spectacular job producing this show. The promo itself, though, was just laughable, bad, and you're headed into a grudge match where, you know, it's not like Shane McMahon, Samoa Joe. That's his gimmick, right? We always talk about that. Super serious all the time, monotone, right? The eyes, I'm gonna kill you. You know Samoa Joe, right? He's been doing the same gimmick for 18 fucking years, so right? So this is great. So this is what we're known for with Samoa Joe. So how does this fit his character? How is this realistic? How is this, you know, a good fit for Samoa Joe? Right? He's reading from a fucking book, a nursery rhyme book, a fairy tale book. How is this supposed to be good for his character? How am I supposed to take this seriously? You've got to be joking. Like, this was not good, and this is what kills me is people are praising this, saying it's good. It's good. No, I'm sorry. The one that they did with Shane McMahon, that was a joke. Now it's the same thing from 18 years ago. It's supposed to be taken seriously. See, this is the complete, like, I don't understand. The same people are pretty much there. It is Vince McMahon. Now, the writers have changed and everything, and things have gotten worse and worse. But it's just like, how is something that was supposed to be a joke and we all laughed at it in 2018 years later was supposed to take it serious? I'm sorry, but you have all this on the network. You could go watch that same episode of Raw from 2000 and you can see the same segment done the right way, or you could go watch the one from today and you could see it being done the complete wrong way. What, you know, it's like you have evidence here. They're committing a crime of, you know, putting on a bad show, and you could be a little detective and you could go on the network and you could go research and do your detective work and see how the show was done the right way. So it's like they bury themselves by having the network. You could see the show being done the right way, the segments that they try to copy from years ago being done the right way. Just like Stone Cold getting arrested on Raw, done the right way. Then you can fast forward 18 years and watch the last episode of Raw, and you can see it being done the wrong way. So, but, you know, a great segment. This was so well done by Samoa Joe, because Samoa Joe is just a complete wrestling god. He's just, you know, oh my God, this is, you know, Samoa Joe. I mean, there's no way that you could say that Samoa Joe is not good, and everything that Samoa Joe's involved in is not, you know, it's like, I don't get it. It's like Keller, sometimes I agree with the man. He knocks at things with WWE when they do things that are lame and stuff like that. And then, like, but when Samoa Joe does something, it's gold. It's all because of Samoa Joe. Because Samoa Joe's involved in that segment. It's genius. Okay, sorry to say, but you know that right there is bias. That right there is fucking biased. I mean, you're saying that something is good just because someone you like is involved in it. Like I said, I love AJ Styles and say he's good. I like Elias. But I knock the segments that they're involved in because they totally suck and they don't do that person justice. And instead, what I say is like they need to be involved in better shit. They need to be produced better. They need to be given better things. Like, these are talented people. They're over. They've gotten themselves over, but they need to be doing better things on the show to prove that value that they have. Rusev Day defeated the Bar. You know, I don't get it. They bring the Bar back. They don't do anything with them for months. And, you know, New Day's acting idiotic at ringside. I mean, oh my God. It's like this New Day thing. How long are they going to let this thing go on for? I mean, it's like, I remember back in 2015 when New Day was like super over and it was a new act. And I was even putting it over myself in my videos. Stone Cold Steve Austin said, never break New Day up. Or he didn't say never break them up, but he says, I hope they keep them together for years to come. And look what that has produced. They have done that very same thing that he asked for. And it has been just a complete disaster. I mean, it is like, if you want to talk about dragging something out, wearing out its welcome, this is case in point, the epitome of, you know, just that idea, you know, just completely overblown to the point where it's like ridiculous. I mean, this is worn out its welcome. I mean, they're doing the same things that it's like, you know, now they're at the point with pancakes and, you know, first it's cereal, then it's pancakes, and it's unicorns. It's like, oh my God, it's like, what are they supposed to be? Just like complete fucking morons? Is that what the gimmick is supposed to be now? No, I get it. It's supposed to be that they're funny. They're supposed to be like, you know, oh, what are these guys going to say? What are these guys going to do? But now it's like time to kind of lock it down a bit and just like say, like, this is getting a bit too ridiculous. They're having these guys act like children. They're having them act like morons. And when you've got guys like Big E, who are obviously very talented on the mic, and they, you know, they have value. It's like, oh my God, if Big E would just break away from these guys and they would just produce it well, if we didn't have the fucking idiots, you know, writing the show that we do, you know, it could be so good. But, you know, that's not likely to happen. Almas defeated R-Truth. I'm just confused at this point. It's like, first it was like R-Truth was like challenging Carmella to a match, kind of playing into that like role where he's just like completely like out there. R-Truth is very talented. Like I said, when he like challenged Cena for the championship like 7 years ago, I didn't have a problem with that. I was like, R-Truth is like built up. He's charismatic. His heel turn was good. He was like lighting up cigarettes on the show and everything, and it was like, you know, I even think back to it. It was like, I remember like Wrestling Jesus on here. Like, he put the segment over big time, and he said it like a lot. Like, I remember he was a big fan of like when R-Truth turned heel, and I agree with him. It's like he lit up the cigarette, and that was like during the PG era and everything. And I was even saying, like, if he did that even during the Attitude era, I thought that was like cool. He was just like a renegade. He was like, you know, talking about conspiracies, and everyone was against him, you know. And then they kind of just like buried him from that point. I like the team with the Miz. I've said it, the Awesome Truth, and they just completely killed the guy after that. And I don't get like why that is. Like, what is the problem with R-Truth? He's charismatic. He's good on the mic. He's good in the ring. He's capable of doing all that flippy-dippy bullshit, and even better than most of the other guys. So, like, I don't get like why this guy's not in higher regard. Why they've just kind of like written him off as just some like cuckoo, and that's like, you know, it's just like a joke. And, you know, they put him in the main event of SmackDown. They're like, well, how the hell did he get in the main event? You put him there, you idiots. Like, You know, it's like that's the storyline that they have there. Like, oh, look at this is funny because R-Truth hasn't been in the main event for 7 years. He hasn't been in the main event in 7 years because you guys don't know how to handle a single fucking character on the show or how to keep somebody over. It just shows that at one time someone was over and now they're not. That's going to happen to AJ. That's going to happen to Samoa Joe. It's going to happen to every major star eventually. Because look at all the stars that were at the top years ago. Where are they now? Batista, he's not even there. Randy Orton's wrestling for the U.S. title. He was. You know, it's like everybody just has been knocked down so many pegs from years ago. You know, like Jack Swagger, that was another guy, 6 months with the belt. You know, where did that, you know, where is he? He's not even in the company anymore. Like, you know, they just don't know how to keep a single soul over. It's just fucking sad. And R-Truth is like, okay, so, and then, you know, then you got the distraction. Carmella helps him from the outside, and R-Truth still loses. Almas, you know, barely gets a win. This is what I'm saying. It's like, they also have Almas, right? Oh, they want to make this guy a star. They promoted him from NXT to the main roster. Like, okay, so make him a star. He's still not a star. They haven't done anything with him. Who is this guy? What is he all about? We don't know. He's like he's just barely getting a win on R-Truth. The guy that they keep on pushing that he hasn't been in the main event for 7 years. What's he doing in the match? And you know, it's like Almas could barely beat a guy like that. So it's like, you know, it looks like Almas is a talented guy. Like that fucking kick he did, the flip. I mean, obviously a very talented guy in the ring. He works his ass off, but like, you know, they haven't done anything to establish his character. I guess that's why Zelina Vega's there, is to talk for him, but they're not even doing a good job. Like, I thought it was supposed to come in, he's supposed to be like Alberto Del Rio 2.0. They seem like they've abandoned that, and I don't even know like what he's supposed to be now. Like, you know, and how did this like R-Truth Carmella thing get started? I guess they were gearing up for the mixed match challenge, and they kind of just paired these two together. But like, it's funny how like that's actually shown on the main show, but everything else is like none of the wrestlers ever interact. Like, it's a whole separate universe, and I've already said it. You know, I don't know if I feel like doing a separate video on Mixed Match Challenge, because, like, what am I going to say about it? I'm not going to watch it. Am I going to really do a rant? I've already did a rant on it a year ago. If you want to know how I feel about Mixed Match Challenge, then go watch that video. But for, you know, for the sake of having it here, this is the little rant on Mixed Match Challenge. I don't give a shit about it. It is irrelevant. It is dumb. It's just something for them to get extra views on, you know, the Facebook TV or whatever the fuck it's called. They want, you know, get some extra numbers, get some ad revenue, whatever. I guess you can't fault them for that. But it's like they have something going on. It's all over the social media. Heels are posing with baby faces. Kayfabe is thrown to the wind. This is why I said, why do you even bother doing kayfabe and shit like that if you're not even going to hold true to it? Consistency, continuity, I am begging them for just at least, like, why don't they care about their own show? Like, like, have some pride in your product. You know, like, my God, is it all just now just about making money, and whatever shit they fucking happen to crap out their asses is just acceptable? It's, you know, whatever, I don't know, like, just, whatever happens. It's just, you know, whatever we produce it's like pop music. It basically is, it's like mainstream top 40 music nowadays. You know, if whatever shit we pump out, whatever, like, you know, the next popular song that gets processed through a machine happens to come out, you know, the next Cardi B single, you know, it's just like, you know, just manufactured, you know, music for mindless drones, you know, sipping on Starbucks. Like, it's just like, you know, whatever appeals to the masses. And the WWE has greatly taken that approach. The only thing is, way more people listen to Cardi B's music than watch WWE. So, I don't know, but you know, they pick their spots well. You know what I mean? They do what they have to do to make a bit of money, but at the end of the year, they never seem to be turning that much of a profit. So that really shows that their ratings are really affecting them. And they can make all the excuses in the world that, you know, it's the post-TV era and nobody watches TV, they're DVRing everything. Well, if that's the case, why does The Walking Dead do so well when it first airs? You know, why is social media just all blown up? You know what I'm saying? What if that's the case, then how come when I come home from work I have to avoid every single Walking Dead spoiler online on Sundays? If TV doesn't matter anymore and Walking Dead's on cable as well. So, you know, bullshit, you know, here's like 2 red like sirens. There's some fucking bullshit in the air there if they're saying that TV doesn't matter anymore. I mean, that right there is a load of bullshit. Your ratings do matter. Otherwise, they wouldn't even have TV anymore. All cable companies and satellite companies, you know, and whatever else would go out of business, and then it would just all be streaming if it didn't matter anymore. So I'm sick of these excuses. It's a different time. Yeah, it is a different time, and a different time sucks. That's basically what it is. That's all that it is. It's excuses. It's excuses for having a bad show. That's all it is. It's excuses for having a terrible, horrendous, bad show. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. Well, actually, a whole lot more less of quality. That's all it is. Then you have Asuka and Naomi. So Naomi is being interviewed by some like new chick. I think Kayla, that's her name. So it's like, I don't even know, they have like new announcers. This one doesn't work, so we're gonna, you know, so I guess maybe JoJo now that lost interest in her, is bringing a new one. So here's the new one, Kayla. Okay, so here we go. So now Naomi is, you know, talking about her new relationship with Asuka. And I didn't hate this segment, but it was like, it could have been, again, produced a bit better. You know, I think, like, Naomi was saying, like, Asuka misunderstood her. They were playing it off. This is what I was saying in the Nakamurphy segment. Now they're doing, like, Asuka, you know, is now, like, super awkward. She doesn't understand English, but Naomi wants to be her friend and talk to her. And, you know, it was, like, slightly endearing, I suppose. I didn't, like, hate it. I kind of, like, had mixed feelings about it. I was like, well, that was stupid. But then again, it's like, they did try to give Asuka some character, and I appreciated that. Like, it's better than just, like, oh, she's just another, like, super serious Japanese wrestler, and, you know, just don't mess with Asuka. It's better than the, you know, no one is ready for Asuka bullshit, you know, and it's better to acknowledge that she's hard to understand than to just kind of, you know, ignore it and just have her talk normally. So, you know, now they've kind of acknowledged it finally with Nakamurphy and Asuka. But it's like, that was supposed to be Nakamurphy's gimmick. They didn't do a good job and they didn't stay consistent on it. Now they're giving it to Asuka. And the thing is, it's instead of it kind of being like Nakamurphy's being sarcastic about it, Asuka just kind of being funny. Then like Naomi asked her if she wanted to go out and get something to eat, and she was like, ooh. She acted like a weird, like, anime character. Reminded me of an episode of Sailor Moon, to be quite honest there. And I didn't really have a problem with that. I mean, it was a little bit funny, a little bit charming, but I know it's not going to go anywhere. So it's basically a waste here. You know, but I like the fact that she's a bit zany, you know, that they're playing into that character. Like, if you're going to have wrestlers that you can barely understand, you might as well have fun with it. And I felt like they were having a bit of fun here, and that I don't have a problem with. It's better you have a little bit of fun than make it boring and just by the numbers. So, alright? So I'm not saying it's great or anything or to save the fucking show, but I will say that it was good for what it was. You know, little segments on a little bit different. This to me was better than the AJ promo. This was better than the Samoa Joe story time promo because, to me, it was a little bit less artificial, a little bit less contrived. It felt a little bit less manufactured, a bit more natural. So, more of this and way less of that bullshit, So, then in your main event, it was Brie defeating Maurice by disqualification, and they should have just pulled. When they should have just ended this show? When The Miz sent Bryan out of the ring and knocked Brie down. That would have been the perfect moment to get some heat. And The Miz could have ran through the crowd, escaped, maybe then hit like Bryan with a chair or something like that, get him down, and then they could have just walked away. That would have been a great way to get some heat leading into the pay-per-view. And, but they didn't take that route. Instead, Bryan smashes into Brie. Looks like she could have nearly got a concussion there. Looked like a dangerous spot, by the way. Once again, putting the risks of these wrestlers, their health at risk. And no one seems to fucking care. Anyway, all in the name of a spot that will be forgotten for 2 seconds. And they didn't even play off of that dangerous spot. Because 2 seconds later, Brie, who got crushed by a man that she didn't even expect was going to be falling on top of her, supposedly. And she gets up 2 seconds later like it didn't even hurt her. So it's like you just put her at risk right there. That could have been a concussion-causing incident. And instead, she gets right back up again 2 seconds later and they're back to fighting again. What is this also lame thing they keep on saying? Oh, punch him in the face. Like, it sounds so... It's another thing, childish. Like, the punch him in the face type of thing. It's again, with the coward thing, and I'm sick and tired of all these lame cliches that they keep doing over and goddamn over again. And it's another thing with the I'm gonna punch him in the face. Like, like there's a line right there. It's so basic sounding and so such a cliche, and they keep on reusing it. So what I'm saying is they could have had a lot of heat here at the end. You could have put a tremendous amount of heat on The Miz. He had Bryan crush his wife's head at the end by falling on top of her, and you could have had Bryan enraged, or you could have just had them both laid out at the end, and it would have been a great lead into the pay-per-view. But once again, the faces stand tall, so let's review this show and see what great heat they have leading into the pay-per-view, right? Because we've talked about this now for over 47 minutes, and it's very rare when a SmackDown show gets this level of attention, and this review's almost as long as the Raw review at this point, so we might as well bring in the full Monty, right? Because I'm fired up here, because this show's pissing me off, because the thing that pisses me off about this is because I see potential. I tell you where I see the potential and what they could do, and I've been doing that more lately. I've noticed. I've been thinking there's opportunities to have the good show here. It's just you notice these little things that they do, the choices that they make, they're just all the wrong choices when the right ones are so obvious to make. There's little adjustments that they can make. It still wouldn't make a tremendously great show, but it would definitely be a superior product at the end of the day. So, let's review basically. So we started off the show with Jeff Hardy kicking Randy Orton's ass. No heat there. Orton he says he's going to end Jeff's career. That's supposed to be the story there, right? So let's have a story, right? You want to have a story? Let's have a story. You said you want to have a storyline, so let's do a storyline. So the story is not being told very well because at the end of the day, Orton is laying on his fucking back looking up at the lights. So, no heat there. Jeff Hardy standing tall. Why even have the match? Jeff Hardy already looks like the winner here. Then you have AJ Styles and Samoa Joe just cutting boring promos. Joe's talking about fucking fairy tales, holding big ass books, you know, instead of actually doing anything interesting, or, you know, like following up on this like stalker, you know, creepy storyline that, you know, it's supposed to be so well done. It's so well done and everything like that. And it's like, you know, okay, who is it? Pipe Bomb News on Instagram, who's got a great page that he runs on there. Somebody, you know, he's posting the video along with all the other attitude. And I'm sure this guy's like 30 years old, probably late 20s, early 30s, perhaps older. And, you know, he's probably like, you know, into the same wrestling that I am, just like in that cutting edge attitude, ruthless aggression type of stuff. And he's like a big fan of this Samoa Joe storyline, like saying, oh, it's great. And I'm just like, you post all this Attitude Era stuff, and you saw the Shane McMahon thing, and you see it done right, and then you watch this and you're praising it? It was the worst thing on the show, if anything. Okay, so like there you have that. The Rusev Day thing, you know, there's nothing there even. There are, you know, New Day is just at ringside like a bunch of idiots, so there's no story to tell there. R-Truth, I don't know what's going on with that. Charlotte, okay, you know, Becky, there was a little bit of heat there. I said it could have probably been something a bit more major, but, you know, I probably say that the ladies probably had the best heat of the night, because then we got to go back what I just talked about. You know, no heat there. The faces stand tall against the heels. Once again, why have the match? You've already kind of just kind of shown us the result. You know, the baby faces, you know, stand tall at the end. So it's like, okay, the heels have already lost. The good guys have already beaten the bad guys. What's the point? So this is the reason why we shouldn't have. If they're gonna book a show this way, then have shades of gray. Don't stop having clear-cut baby faces and heels, because this is the problem at the end of the day. You're trying to tell the story of good triumphing evil. You've already told the story before you've gotten to the pay-per-view, which is supposed to be the conclusion to your story. Man, like, you know, I really gotta say, like, I think SmackDown is worse than Raw. It is. Without a doubt. Because at least on Raw, there's a lot. Like, at least on Raw, there was Mick Foley. There was Elias. You know, Triple H's promo was just kind of, like, nonsensical, but it was, you know, good. And, you know, at least there's more guys that look like stars, and there are, like, just more things going on Raw. Like, it feels more eventful. Like, even though the Shield stuff was stupid, it feels like just there's more going on. It's more eventful. So, you know, for all these people saying SmackDown's so much better, like, it sucks. It's so bad. And I get it. It's a shorter show. But to me, it's like, that makes it even worse. Because it's like, for all intents and purposes, it should be the better show, and it's still not. Because Raw, you know, is already a bad show, but it wears out its welcome, you know, so fast. And yet, a 2-hour show actually is more painful to watch. That is truly an accomplishment. That really speaks volumes about how Vince McMahon and Brian James are fucking, you know, Road Dogg are running this show. I mean, this is a horrendous show. This is a horribly produced show. And once again, at least you could say with Raw that they went off strong. Where you had Roman Reigns, again, you know, Roman Reigns, the champion, kind of like, he hit the Samoan drop on Braun Strowman. So Strowman, you know, who should be looking strong at the end of the match. Unless they're going to be putting Braun over. So then it might be a little bit of a different story. But I still feel like there's not enough heat there. Where it should be kind of like Braun getting the best of Reigns. Because, like I said, if it's going to be babyface and heel, then the heel should kind of like have the upper hand right before it. I know, okay, I get you don't want to make it all the same. But then don't have them touch them. How about that? So, you know, but at least it went off the air with the most important belt. Why is it that on SmackDown it's like, if AJ's the champion and he's held on to it now for an entire year. He's held this belt for, well, what did he win it in? He won it right before Survivor Series. So what did he win it, like October or November? He's coming upon a year. 10, 11 months as champion. Whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. However long he's been champion, it's like never once did he main event the pay-per-view. So it's like, okay, you know, and it never even gets close. It's like always an opener, maybe or like the second, third, middle match on the card. They stick it in the middle of the show where no one gives a fuck about it. And I'm like, oh my god, like, I understand sometimes why they do it with Raw, like they don't put the World Championship thing at the end, is because, you know, no one cares to watch the last hour. It's just there for like advertiser purposes. You know, we've all come to kind of accept that already. But when it comes to SmackDown, it's a 2-hour show and they're off the air by 10 o'clock. It's like, there's no excuse. If you don't have confidence in AJ and Samoa Joe as like your main centerpiece of the show, and you got to rely on Daniel Bryan, you know, in The Miz, then maybe, just maybe the role should be reversed. So maybe The Miz or Daniel Bryan should be champion, and then, you know, this other thing should be the mid card with Joe and AJ. If you don't have enough confidence to put them in the main event, then why are they even bothering with it? Why even do it then? This is the one thing I don't understand about it. Why put them there? If they don't have enough confidence in these guys, why has it been dragged out as long as it has? Why even do this program? You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to say, like, these are your main event guys, this is your world champion. Remember, the belt that AJ has, that's the WWE Championship. That's the Stone Cold belt. That's the Rock belt. That's the Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man belt. Remember that. That's the main title. And that belt never main events. It's like always the Universal Championship. And like, okay, you know, whatever. They're both world championships. We're not gonna get into semantics of, you know, this championship is more prestige. They're all fake belts. It's fake. No one gives a fuck. But I'm saying, like, on a wrestling show, typically, if now we're talking about not pay-per-views, but we're talking about the just SmackDown Live itself, why is it never like the last thing on the show? For this whole feud with Samoa Joe, it's all been pasted right in the middle of the show, and it's like you have no confidence. So why did we take the belt off of Jinder Mahal and all that? You know, a guy that actually got heat, so we could get absolutely no heat. The only thing that we've gotten from this world title, you know, switch that happened last year is now that the internet marks are happy. Well, God bless them. You know, they're so happy that we could satisfy those marks and give them what they want. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? Satisfying a bunch of losers on the internet, right? You know, that take wrestling way too seriously. The great accomplishment there, guys. That's what you want to do. Oh boy, man. I've been talking for a long fucking time. It's been a long ass review, but I had a lot to say and I felt it was necessary. But it's about time to wrap this review up, guys. I know you're probably sad. Some people, I gotta say, I was very impressed, you know, with the response. Like, was it last week or the week before where I did like over an hour review? Like, people were ecstatic. It's like, you know, if it just so happens, it's like I don't do it on purpose. If the review happens to warrant that much, you know, content, then it's going to happen. These videos, like I said, are unscripted. The only things I write down are the matches and the segments. That's all that's on these paper. There's no lines or anything like that. You know, so that's pretty much it. So if, you know, whatever the review takes me, that's how long it's going to take. And whatever it, you know, it's unedited, There's no jump cuts in these videos, so if they happen to be that long, that's an act of God, basically. You know, God wanted me to make the video that long, I suppose. He's probably more important than worrying about this garbage wrestling. But anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Please subscribe. Click the bell so you get all my notifications. You know, I really want you to be able to check out my other content besides the wrestling, because let's face it, this product is fucking garbage. I'm proud of a lot of my video game reviews that I've put up, as well as my other reviews. I branched out and talked about a lot of topics. You know, a lot of things going on with like Angry Joe and Boogie2988. And I thought you might enjoy some of those videos. So, you know, I want to just bring that to your attention as well. If you could check those out, I greatly appreciate it. And I know, you know, you'll probably enjoy them as well. So, you know, check out these other videos right here as well that I've got here. And yeah, this has been your YWC champ, and I'm signing out.